All right, let's dive in. We're going to tackle one of the most famously difficult plays out there, Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot. But here's the twist. We're going to use a really unexpected key to unlock what it all means, the ancient philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita. And believe it or not, it all starts with one simple, totally maddening line.
This right here, this single, brilliant stage direction is everything. It just perfectly captures the play's central mystery, right? This deep, profound state of paralysis that has had people scratching their heads for decades. So what's the deal? Why do they say they're going to go, but then never, ever move?
Okay, so let's set the scene. The whole play is basically about these two guys, Vladimir and Estragon, and they are completely stuck in an endless loop. They're just waiting for someone named Godot, who, spoiler alert, never shows up.
But you gotta understand, this isn't just about being bored. This is a deep, existential crisis. I mean, they're questioning their very purpose, they have no idea why they're even waiting, and they feel totally helpless to change anything. They are fundamentally deeply stuck.
And this is where our philosophical key comes into play. In the Bhagavad Gita, the hero, Arjuna, he goes through a very similar state. It's called Vishada. It's a complete psychological breakdown where he just loses his will to act. Sound familiar? Both are these moments of just profound crisis.
But, and this is the absolute crucial difference, for Arjuna, the crisis is just the starting point. He gets guidance from the god Krishna, who basically shows him a path forward. Vladimir and Estragon, they get nothing. For them, the crisis isn't the beginning, it's the end. It just leads to more and more unresolved waiting. So let's really dig into this idea. We're using the Bhagavad Gita as our lens today because it gives us this incredibly powerful framework for understanding what is really going on in Beckett's weird, seemingly absurd world.
You know, the Gita isn't just a religious text. It's this profound guide to life about action, purpose, and what's real versus what's not. And by using its ideas, we can start to see Waiting for Godot not just as some story about meaninglessness, but maybe as a cautionary tale about how we lose meaning in the first place. And this brings us right to the core conflict between these two great works. They have these radically different ideas about the whole concept of action.
Now, in the Gita, the way forward is through karma. And look, this isn't about cosmic reward and punishment. It's about doing your duty, taking action with full commitment, just because it's the right thing to do, without getting hung up on the results. In this view, action is literally the engine for growth.
And this contrast just hits you over the head when you look at Godot. The Gita basically says that meaning is something you have to create through action. But in Godot's world, action is the one thing they always avoid. So this suggests that their suffering isn't because the universe is meaningless, but because their own inaction has led to total stagnation.
Okay, so this leads us to the biggest question of them all, right? The one that's hanging over this entire play. Seriously, what are they actually waiting for? Is it God? Is it a person? What is the answer here?
Okay, here it is. The play's biggest secret is that Godot is not a person at all. Godot is the idea of waiting. It's the hope that some outside force, some person, some event, some divine intervention is just going to show up and magically fix everything and give their lives meaning. And you know what? The Gita has a word for this, Maya, which means illusion. It teaches that getting attached to this kind of blind hope, called asha, is a total trap. It leads straight to suffering because it keeps us passive, just waiting around for a solution instead of creating one with our own actions. Godot is their Maya.
What's so amazing is how Beckett bakes this idea of being trapped into the play itself. It's not just in what they say, it's built right into the structure of the story.
So the Gita talks about time, or kala, not as a straight line, past, present, future. It sees time as cyclical, as something eternal that moves in repeating loops. And this philosophical idea is mirrored perfectly in how the play is built.
Just think about it. The two acts of the play are almost identical. This cycle just repeats and repeats with zero progress. They are literally trapped in a time loop of their own making, and it's reinforced because they can't remember anything and they refuse to break the pattern. Time doesn't bring change, it just digs them deeper into their ruts.
So, if inaction traps them in this illusionary cycle, then what's the way out? How do you break free? Let's bring all these threads together.
The ultimate goal in the Bhagavad Gita is something called moksha, or liberation. This is freedom. But it's not freedom from your problems out there, it's freedom from your own ignorance, your attachments, your illusions. And crucially, it's a state that you can only achieve through self-aware, responsible action.
And this, right here, is the final powerful takeaway. Waiting for Godot is a world without moksha. There is no liberation precisely because Vladimir and Estragon refuse to even try the path to get there. They're waiting for meaning to be handed to them instead of taking on the responsibility of creating it for themselves.
So let's just lay it all out, side by side. In Godot, a crisis just leads to paralysis. Hope is an external illusion, and meaning is this thing that you wait for, but it never shows up. But in the Gita, a crisis is a call to action. Hope is something you achieve through your own effort, and meaning is something you create. You see? Two crises, two completely different paths.
And that leaves us with one last big question. Because in the end, the play isn't really asking us who is Godot. It's asking something much more personal. In our own lives, when we're faced with doubt and uncertainty, are we just waiting for our Godot to show up and fix everything? Or are we going to take action and start creating our own path forward?